The views expressed in this video are solely those of the hosts, collaborators, and contributors, and do not necessarily represent the views of Royal Productions, OWC, LLC. We encourage diverse perspectives and open dialogue. If you have any concerns, please contact us at info@royalproductionsowc.com. Thank you for being a part of the RPOWC community. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the California Avenue podcast. I'm your host, Unconventionally Black, UB for short, and this is a Black-centered space and place where all are welcome and where we discuss unconventional topics unapologetically from lived experiences and perspectives. I'm joined today by Elsy. Say hi.
Hi, everybody.
And we're going to be addressing how to show up for Black men and women. So we have divided it in 3 different sections. Come join us as we get more into this topic. So one of the first things that we wanted to talk about was supporting businesses. Usually during episodes, it's really important to talk about the solution. So you'll find that during our conversations, we're already kind of addressing the solution to how to show up for Black men and women. So we're going to start with supporting our startups. So in your opinion, Elsy, how do you believe that our people within our community can show support for the businesses that we're trying to start?
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me and for creating this safe space. I'm really excited. I've been elated to be here because I love chopping it up. I love doing this. You know me.
Yes. No, I'm super excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How can we show up for Black people as Black people, for like Black people in startups for Black? How can we show up for Black people?
Yeah.
In startups. From my lived experience, just a little background, I am a business owner. I created a startup. Unfortunately, I had to shut down the business because I wasn't making any profit. But it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. You know, I'm still paying some of the debt that I acquired, but I don't regret it. I think it was very enlightening. I learned a lot. I learned what my goal is. I learned my purpose. I learned that I don't like working for other people. So I just can't, right? Like my neurodivergency doesn't allow me to. And then I just feel like I have a different purpose. So creating my startup was one of the best things I've done. I did have a lot of obstacles and a lot of hurdles, you know, like every other entrepreneur whenever they start something. And I think one of the obstacles that I had as an entrepreneur and as a startup person was a lot of, specifically in my type of niche, a lot of the Black people I was trying to promote my business, they weren't open with the idea of buying what I was selling. So I was basically trying to have a sexual wellness brand, right?
Wow.
And and that's such a taboo in the society, but it's also, you know, a taboo in our community. You know, when I was branding, it was very like, oh, okay, like you're trying to sell this toy. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to create a sexual wellness brand, create awareness around the topic of sexuality. What's funny about it is that it was received pretty well, but on the low, right? On the low.
Okay.
Like on the low, they were like, oh, wait, sis, like, let me see what's going on. And I was like, look, this is what I'm selling and this is what I want to do. I think I would have appreciated more support up front, you know, like everybody would stand with me on the cause. Like, okay, I'm a Black woman who's trying to sell this product, and I was catering to Black women. Like my product is Black women
Mm-hmm.
centered and people with vagina centered.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I would have had more support,
Mm-hmm.
like in the front end, not in like the back end where people were like, oh yeah, hey, slide me a product, like an example of this is I had one of the methods that I had to promote my product was doing ambassador programs, right? So, hey, do you want to become an ambassador? I'll send you a product and then you take pics and then I'll give you a code. And then if you get this code, you promote it with your people on your platform with your friends. And then you
Mm-hmm.
get 10% off, then you acquire money, then I will give you payouts through PayPal. It was a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would reach out primarily to Black women and, women of color. And then a lot of the Black women that I would reach out didn't want to do it.
Uh,
Because of the taboo, which is understandable. I'm like, okay, cool, I get it. But at the same time, I
yeah.
feel like, damn, this is where I need y'all to show up for me as a Black owned business,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. Um, that's unfortunate that, so many people have such a difficult time around sexuality, and um, because of their difficulty um, and because of their difficulty of being comfortable in their own sexuality and what that means to them, like that they couldn't show up for you in your business. Because even if they weren't comfortable with the idea of being an ambassador, which I think is like a very bulletproof way of showing people your product, and like I think it's just a more clear way for people to see, oh, because of this other person saying that this product is this good, or helps with this, like I think that gets people to buy in. So it is a really big part of selling a product. Um, and even if they are uncomfortable with being an ambassador, like, did they ask other ways that they can show support or show what business you have? Like, maybe like a website. Did they ever ask any other like follow-up questions? Okay, I'm not comfortable with this, but can I do this?
Um, so I think one of the things that I have to also learn how to differentiate in these experience that I had is how many Black women were interested in supporting me, and then and was my message good enough, right? So I'm just trying to also understand, because I like to think critically about things. So I'm just like, okay, so was my message good enough? Was my message reaching them?
Hmm.
Even though I thought it was good, I thought I was targeting Black women. I thought I was doing the right things, but were they convinced enough to buy my product? So, and that brought me, and the only reason why I'm thinking this is because you asked me, okay, if they weren't comfortable supporting, becoming an ambassador, were they looking at your website? And then like, maybe, probably, maybe not. Was my website good enough? Was it convincing enough? Because one of the challenges, and this is for everybody that has a startup, one of the challenges of having a startup is that you have to convince your target audience that they should buy from you, right?
Mm.
Because we ain't no Apple, we ain't no, I don't know what's iPhones, I don't know, we ain't no Amazon. So we have to convince them, and then we have to solve a problem. We have to add some unique value. So if we don't do that, then our message might not be right, and then the Black community might not want to support. So it's just
Hmm.
what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like it's a balance, and I hear accountability on your end because you want to make sure that you come at it from a very business standpoint, which is you do have to target a certain market audience, and you're reflecting and seeing if the work that you've already put out, if that reflects that these people may need this product. Yeah, which I think is fair. And I think that uh, you know From what you're saying, it sounds like it is a very educational journey. Like it's a learning curve. But I I've had friends that have had startups, and they've asked me, and they're like, you know, things that are like kind of common household kind of products, um, and they've asked me to like take pictures. But I feel like the thing is to show support is, you know, one, either just doing it by like just reposting, by showing like, hey, there is this Black owned business that is trying to support wellness, which is a beautiful and important thing. um and if you're not clear on how to show support, then I think that's where the questions come in. Like, I want to support you, how can I help? Maybe donating is like one of the things that could be helpful. Maybe like helping you find more research on marketing. Like, I just feel like there's so many opportunities there for people to show up, other than just, you know, being the face of it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think what you said is really important. I think I had people that were proud of me, you know, people that were like, yeah, go on, sis, like that
Mm-hmm.
encouragement. You know, I think that was a way of supporting me and
Mm-hmm.
encouraging me, hey, keep going, keep doing it. You know, I had people that didn't know me that were really excited and elated about my brand. So I feel like that's a way of showing support, you know, just to circle back to that actual question is amplifying those voices and putting it on your social media, you know, repost, you know, telling people about it. Hey, here's some business cards, just passing them around. Like, I'll help you with your advertisement for free. So it's like, no problem. I think that's a really good way to show up for startups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. um I I think even just outside of, you know, only like startups, but like even certain platforms, hint, hint, um, reposting those, because yeah, I have a lot of friends that have very much like public things that they're doing. Like, a lot of my friends are musicians and artists, and I think that, you know, my way of showing support is reposting their videos right when I can, and you know, following them on Spotify and coming to performances where I can. If they need me to work the merch booth, god damn it, I'm in there, you know what I mean? Like, when it comes to things that, you know, I've done, it's not very public, right? Like, the things that I do, I feel like aren't as easily supportable, except for what I'm doing right now. And I think that it is important that we show up and we repost. And if we don't know what that looks like, then yeah, I don't think anything's wrong with asking. um yeah, because it's like you said, being neurodivergent and working for corporate America is ghetto. I can't stand it.
It makes no sense. Like, it does not work out at all.
Yeah. But yeah, I uh I feel pretty confident in what we talked about right now. It's how to show support is having conversations and asking questions and reposting. Curious, do you have a business that you're running right now that you feel you would like to be backed up in?
Not at this moment. Currently, I'm just trying to get my life together. Sis. You feel me? I'm really just trying to build myself up from a physical, emotional, and spiritual point. So I'm focused. I'm more focused on that right now than on my entrepreneur journey. But it's coming. Give me a few months. give
Okay.
me give me 2 months, and I'm back at it. Okay.
Okay. I'm here for it. Let me know. Hit my line.
Okay.
Okay.
Period. I will. I will. And you know, something that I wanted to touch on that came into my awareness was um, having a Black owned business and catering to Black people. And let me give you like an example, right? Like when I used to run my business, it was catered to Black women. Like seriously, like it was catered to Black women. Like the imagery, the language, the visuals, the messaging, everything was catered to Black women. And you know, also if other groups wanted to buy, I'm not mad at it. Okay. But one of my best friend's husband, who is non-Black, had something to say about it. He was like, I think that you're gonna lose. He is a business owner and he has multiple businesses, right, outside of sexual wellness. But he's like, I think if you want to make money and if you don't want to lose profit, you shouldn't be catering to Black women. You should be catering to everybody.
Side eye.
And I was infuriated, and I was like, what?
Criminal offensive side eye.
Random,
No, sir.
huh?
Hella. Like, what? I mean, it sounds like the mindset of just like profit, and then I understand the significance of making a profit, but the most important thing is that it is geared towards women who don't have easily accessible, they don't have, it's not as easily accessible to have these kind of services, and in a way that you feel safe. That's huge. That's important. So yeah, sounds like he could have kept that to himself.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
No, and especially saying that to like the Black owner of a Black owned business, you know. And I think for me, my biggest thing was like, I respected his opinion because he is a business owner and he is all about his business. Respect, but for him to go out of his way to tell a Black woman how to, I don't know, like it was such an unsolicited advice. And then at the same time, he's like, he doesn't even understand the message. He didn't understand the message behind my brand, right? Which was like bringing self-awareness and then teaching sex ed to promote, because there's a lack of sex ed everywhere in this country. So I was just trying to help people understand more about sex ed and how to take care of themselves and how to avoid unwanted pregnancies and just all that shit that causes us as a community to fall behind, right? To keep from getting where we want to be.
Yeah.
But he didn't understand that. He was just like so focused on, Elsy, you're only catering Black women. Why are you only showing Black women in your pictures? That's not gonna make you money. And I was just like, your wife is Black. Why are you saying this? Look.
He missed the mark completely. And again, I understand the profit driven, but you decided who the target audience is going to be, and that wasn't decided by a mistake. It was very intentional.
Yeah.
So I think even people outside of the community can take what we've talked about as a way to show support, and just don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that.
Yeah. Like seriously, like even like you said, people outside of our community can learn that if nobody is asking you for an advice on how to run their business, I don't think you have a say. If you're gonna show up to support, because he wanted to support me, right? So if you're gonna support the business, if you're gonna support the idea, support it. Don't give any unsolicited critique because like nobody's asking, you know.
Yeah.
Like just show up. Just show up for people.
Yeah. Or he could have gave you more advice on how to okay, so you are gonna only target Black women. Maybe, you know, they're not gonna, maybe a whole bunch of people are gonna feel excluded, or whatever his argument was gonna be. This is how you make up for that profit, or this is how you can mainstream your product more so that you can like still have that profit. Like there was so many other ways to handle it. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. It happens.
Yeah. Well, then don't be sorry.
Oh, be careful. Lord, gee.
Okay, don't be sorry, be better.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the topic of sexuality, I think we should get into our next one, which is understanding that sexuality is a spectrum and that gender is a social construct. They're separate. Yeah. So the reason why we both felt like it was important to have this conversation is because, you know, how to show up for Black women and men is, man, moving past your ignorance, moving past your fear, and to me, not subscribing to mainstream ideologies. Queer Black folks and trans Black folks are very mistreated by this society and are murdered and harassed, and all of these horrible things happen. And I am so sick of going on social media and seeing Black people with a platform and using that platform so irresponsibly to spread more hate and misinformation. One of the things that we've talked about is just hilarious. There was a video of her online talking about Black trans women, and it's quite telling. So yeah, I think we're gonna give you a little sample of what she says. So.
What I mean when the transphobia just comes out, the audacity and just the arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't. Okay, you don't own periods, you don't own womanhood. You experience both, and both are different for every person, but as a cis woman, it doesn't belong to you, so you can't gatekeep it. Like, hello?
Hello. Who the fuck is gonna stand up for us? Who the fuck stands up for us? And us, I mean women, real women, biological women, women who were born with all the parts that you guys wish that you were. When does the delusion stop? What is the difference between you and someone who has been diagnosed to be mentally insane? What's the only difference is you don't have a straitjacket on. Stop talking out your fucking ass. Wake up. How are you projecting your anger on real women? Because we are the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers for periods. We the only one that fucking bleed, honey. We the only ones that can give birth. We make y'all people. We make y'all. Y'all come from us. You can't be us. You will never. You're chasing something you'll never, ever get. You'll never be that.
Talk about blood boiling. So pretty much in that video, there's a trans Black woman talking about, you know, how cis Black women are essentially gatekeeping being a woman, what that looks like. And I think it's really interesting that it's like I think it's very interesting that she brought up periods and just periods and what it is to be a woman. And the reality of it is that not all women who are cis women can have periods. It does not make them less of a woman. You can't dwindle it down just to reproductive organs, because there's multiple things. Gender is a social construct, right? It's something that's made up just like race. And if we're talking about biology, there are people who are intersex. And when you make statements like that, you know, like Just Hilarious said, we're the only ones who bleed, is disregarding intersex individuals. And it's also, of course, belittling trans women. And Just Hilarious mentions I think it's really funny that she mentions projection, because this was nothing but projection. It was nothing but anger and frustration, and I try to understand it so that I can debunk it. And the best way I can understand why the hostility came from Just Hilarious is because of how men have continuously, especially Black men, have said that dark-skinned Black women are masculine. And and I think that that is a trigger. I think it would be a trigger for anyone to feel like, the person, if they're heterosexual, the person that they're attracted to says that they're not attracted to them because they look masculine. A lot of Black women, dark-skinned Black women, have been fighting that stereotype for a long time. And I get where that wound comes from, but the enemy is the misogyny. It's not trans.
Yeah, like that was a really good point when you were talking about the stereotype attached to dark-skinned women, that they're seen as being more aggressive, and I knew that because I experienced that, but I never really thought about it. So that's a good point that I hadn't thought about it. It wasn't in my awareness, but I know I experienced it. In terms of Just Hilarious and her comments, I have a few things to say, right? First of all, I've never watched that video until you send it to me. I listened to responses. I listened to people talking about it, but I never cared to listen to it because something that I do is I show people grace and I put them where they are at intellectually, because I know there's a lack of ignorance, or there's the lack of intellect. There's a lack of intellect. That's where I place you. Just like what I do with people that are narcissists or people that have a lack of emotional intelligence. I'm not gonna get mad at you for not understanding my perspective because there's a lack of emotional intelligence. Like I cannot come here and argue with, I literally physically cannot come here and argue with you. I can't, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have anything that I want to do, so that's what happened with Just Hilarious, right? Because when we were talking about it, I think I told you, oh yeah, no, I listened to the Breakfast Club and I see her, she's hilarious. And I definitely, though, after listening to what she said, my perception of her completely shifted because I didn't know she could be such judgmental, because that's not what I've seen her for. I seen her with her comedy skits and her jokes and being funny. I never thought she was this person. So I'm already my perception has completely shifted from what I thought who she was. I'm like, oh shit, you are kind of mean. You are kind of, that's not cool. That's not cool. Oh, well, she was speaking the truth. Okay, let's talk about the reasons why she wasn't speaking the truth, right? And the reasons why it's a lack of ignorance and why she's spreading misinformation. And the most dangerous thing, people believe her. For one, whenever the trans woman that was speaking, she said that periods don't solely belong to cis women. I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember. And then Just Hilarious had the audacity to say, who got us? When the trans woman literally just said periods do not belong to you all, to cis women, because what about trans men? Can trans men not have periods? Let's talk about it, Jess. Come on, let's go. oh, like let's talk about it, you know. And then also another thing that really irritates me is that a lot of people in the Black community say, oh, I'm old school. Man, I'm old school. I ain't changing my way of thinking. I'm old school. I don't go with okay, you can be old school. It's fine, it's cool, it's cute, like it's not a problem, but at the same time, history just moves forward. Society just moves forward. We do not get stuck in 1920. We have to move forward. In order to move and progress, so a lot of things have to change. The way we think, new coin terms are gonna happen. Like there's gonna be new things. It's gonna be new vocabulary. It's gonna be new language that we all have to adjust if we want to move forward as a society, or do we want to be stuck in years past whatever?
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to me that our community, because they're so comfortable in not knowing more, and because they're so comfortable in what they are, they don't want to take a risk, and they don't want to be challenged to learning and understanding, you know. And that it's frustrating. So with the things I just said, you know, I listened to it and I was like, yikes, this lady really doesn't know. Like she just doesn't know. She's spreading hate, and a lot of people believe her and like her. So a lot of people, that's how hate is contagious. Okay.
Yeah.
Hate is contagious. And that's how people are gonna get sick. You know, can we start spreading love? Can we start, as a humanity, can we start spreading love instead of spreading hate? You know, and everything can change if that were to happen. She's projecting the fact that she said that, oh, she's projecting her anger. I'm like, do you not see how everything that you're saying comes from anger? Like I'm uncomfortable. Like you saying all these things make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, very true. Yeah, stuck in the ways, man. That old school mentality. And I think it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. I understand that Black women need protection as a cis Black woman, and honey, nothing is scary about saying cis. It's literally a science. Like it's been here. Like I don't know why people are so scared of that word. It literally means the same, just like Homo sapien. Like, are you scared of that?
It's
Because it has
crazy
homo
to
in it?
me.
Like, yikes.
It's crazy.
Wild. It's just we're just gonna deny science, like so we can stay in our mindset. My favorite person on Instagram who talks about these issues subconsciously, he says research over me search, and it's very clear that she's very staying still in her beliefs because she hasn't done anything to learn and unlearn and relearn, because of it's unfortunately homophobia and transphobia is steeped in our culture. And it's not right. It's very dangerous. And as a cis Black woman, I don't feel threatened by another person's existence. And I'm not going to deny their existence because I need support. Like, yes, we do need to protect Black women, but both things could exist at the same time.
And that right there, that duality, people don't have the capacity and the range, unfortunately. And this hurts me as a Black person, right? People don't have the range to hold these two dualities. They don't, because they don't want to unlearn a lot of the things. They don't want to relearn the new things. They are comfortable with what their great grandma taught them a few years ago. Oh, what my great grandma taught me 5 years ago, that's who I am. That's what that. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, stop. Stop. Your great grandma also used Crisco and butter in every meal. So maybe we should talk about that too. No, we're not going to talk about it, but still, like, unhealthy mentalities, just like there's unhealthy traditions, and this is one of them in the Black community. I'm disappointed. I am disappointed when we have the opportunity to spread love and inclusion. I feel like when Black cis women feel threatened by Black trans women, or Black cis men feel threatened by Black trans men, that like it is just we're literally taking on the mentality of the oppressor. You're trying to create this hierarchy that shouldn't exist. Like, we are all here on the same level as Black individuals, right? We're gonna acknowledge that there are hierarchies placed in the system because of because of how the system was set up and being Black and being a minority. But there's space for all of us, and there's space for us to say, we've been mistreated, and so have they.
Yeah.
And for her to weaponize mental health,
I think there's so many things there that got me triggered, but that was one of them.
mm-hmm.
That triggered me in so many ways. That hatred, the transphobia coming out of her brain, delusional. Like, she literally called out a whole group of people, and then on the show talking about, I have these type of friends. I have these type of friends, and I'm like, it's just like when white people are like, I love Black people. Look at my Black friend. I'm not racist. Look at my Black friend. It's the same thing, you know, and we just look at them like crazy, right? So that's literally how I look at her now. I'm like, girl, after you denounce, after you ostracize this whole group of people, after you weaponize mental health, after you completely bash a whole group of people just to make yourself feel better, just because you don't like to be called cisgender. Look, do your research. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. All of that is welcome here, because it is infuriating. It's frustrating. As someone who is a Black cis woman with a neurodivergence and a physical disability, I think it's just mind-blowing that she's willing to put down Black neurodivergent people as well, right? And I don't like when people weaponize mental health issues, because one, I think that, you know, our society is the reason why we have these issues. And a lot of crossover happens. It's quite common for people to have struggled with mental illness, and to weaponize it to say that you belong in a straitjacket. Girl, you would be in a straitjacket too if we're gonna go based off of like mental health qualifications back in the day, how they would have women in straitjackets for just having a difference in opinion. Your ass would be in there too. So it really doesn't make sense that she would use that as a way to degrade a whole population. That's not what delusion is. People who are trans do not have a mental health condition. I know from facts that is not that's not a thing. So if she did more work to understand why her things is hurtful, I think that we can better come at an understanding of what it is that we're fighting for and fighting against, because it's not each other. It's not Black queer folks. It's not Black trans folk. It's misogyny. That is the bigger picture here. And yeah, I think as Black people, as people who have been oppressed, like, where do we get off becoming the oppressor by creating that hierarchy of, oh, we're better, you can never be us. Like, I mean, it's a presentation. It's someone who chooses to identify differently. That shit has been in existence for years. Trans people have roots. Queer people have roots. You can look in history and see. So why would you take the time to grade someone just because you haven't done the work, and because you feel threatened by not doing the work, and people saying, hey, you haven't done the work? I mean, I think it's also like ego for sure. But yeah, homegirl needs to pick up a book or, you know, Google search.
Just a Google search, you know. And I think one of the things that Jessie Larry completely missed the mark on was when she was speaking about, you know, of course, weaponizing mental health. But what I wanted to say is, like, after I watched the video, all I could think of is, I hope you do the inner work, you know, like the inward work, to see why you have so much hate and so much shit to say about these people that, you know, are being marginalized, just like you are being marginalized. Look, just like you as a Black woman are marginalized. Now it happens that you happen to be rich, so you think that if you're in a position of power, you are allowed to do this, but it's not a thing, you know. Like, I just pray that we all come to, like, society as a whole, you know, just start reading more books and just try to educate themselves and just learn the language, understand that cis is not a way to alienate yourself. Like, it's nothing weird, you know. It's just a term that is used to say a woman that was born with this and identifies as this in this society. You feel me? It's not, oh, I'm this and the other. No, it's literally what you are. That your category. There's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah, I agree. And it bothers me when people get so bothered by pronouns. People get so fucking bothered by pronouns, and it's like, just say that you're scared. Just say it. Just say that you're scared. Say that you're stubborn. Say that you don't want to progress. Say that you don't want to be on the right side of history. Because what the fuck does it take away from you to learn how to properly address someone? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take anything. It doesn't take away from your existence as a person. It's really just having a difficulty in the duality, like we talked about. So Black people, people outside of our community, let's do better, because what we're doing is creating more hate, we're creating more division. We need to create more inclusion. There's a lot of things that are placed in society that make it extremely difficult for all of us to survive, especially if you're not born with it, especially if you don't got the generational wealth coming through. Like, life it hits differently. And the only way that we're going to be able to fight these systems that continue to oppress us is by coming together and not being threatened by our differences, but just acknowledging them.
Yeah, not being threatened by our differences and celebrating our differences and working on our ego, you know, because a lot of the things that these people say is based on their fragility, right? Not feeling good enough for this, like you mentioned, you know. And that's something that I wanted to talk about. Like, a lot of dark-skinned women feel threatened by trans women because dark-skinned women were seen as aggressive, right? So if that's something that you need to do the inner work, if that's something you need to work on to not feel threatened, that's the fragility in you, which we're all broken, right? We're all trying to figure out our life, our shit. But that's not on other people. That's not on, like, you shouldn't be projecting that onto other people. You shouldn't be projecting your insecurities onto other people, because that's the problem. Look at yourself first. Do that inner work. Be self-aware before you start doing that, and then just spreading hate, spreading misinformation. Come on, do better.
Do better. Don't be sorry. Do better.
You lead a whole water player, but you can't make her think. You dig what I'm saying? I got to keep it nice and breezy around this bitch. Anyway.
Yes. Yes, thank you. I think that was a beautiful way to close up that conversation. All right, well, thank you guys for joining us here on the California Avenue podcast. I'm your host, UB. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We drop episodes every Friday at 1 p.m. So please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification to stay updated on all future episodes. We also have CashApp and Vimos in the corner of our screens here to, continue to promote this platform. Until next time, you guys,